Scientists now believe that acids, or free radicals, are causal factors in nearly every known disease. A free radical is an oxygen missing an electron. Actually, there's a lot of misunderstanding here. Free radicals, very simply, are acids. They're ferments. And they're acids, or caused by oxidation, fermentation. Oxidation or fermentation in our body is what weakens and destroys our tissues, particularly our connective tissues and our muscles, even our bones. An antioxidant is in reality an antacid, something that reduces oxidation. Anything that reduces oxidation is an alkaline buffer. Anything that's going to alkalize or neutralize these acids is only going to help maintain the alkaline design of the body. Highly ionized water has more antioxidants or electrons than a fresh glass of squeezed orange juice. And that's also true with any juice, for that matter. See, because when you test anything that's let's say wheatgrass, for example, wheatgrass will have a pH of between 6 to 6.5. So it is saturated in more hydrogen ions than what the body actually needs. So it's actually has value there in its chlorophyll, and it's very beneficial in building the blood. And we're not drinking wheatgrass to alkalize the body, we're drinking wheatgrass to build blood. But it's very critical that we add alkaline water to whatever juices that we're drinking to raise its alkalinity so it's saturated in electrons. There we help to maintain the alkaline fluids of the body. Well, orange juice has a pH of between 2.5 and 3, highly acidic, versus what we should be drinking, which is 9.5. If we look at this exponentially, we're talking about between orange juice to water, something that's 10 million times more acidic than this alkaline water that I'm talking about. So orange juice, because of its high concentration of protons, its high concentrations of acids in the forms of sugars, will actually paralyze the immune system for 3 to 5 hours. It will intoxicate it like alcohol and shut it down from its biological purposes to swim through the fluids of the body to maintain purity and cleanliness. So the antioxidant potential of any fluids can be measured using an oxidative reduction meter. That's what this is. It has a probe. And in this probe, we can then put this in water and we can turn it on and we can measure the pH of this water. And we can also measure the electrical potential of the water. Here we're seeing the electrical potential of this water is positive 76 millivolts and declining. So this water will actually pull energy from the body. The pH of the water is 5.4. Now, this is a pure, clean water, but it's not necessarily fit to drink. The kind of water that we want to be drinking is an alkaline water. Now I can run this through an ionizer and create the 9.5 water with a negative 250 millivolts. But if I don't have that water ionizer and I'm traveling, then I'm going to have to do something else. I'm going to have to put into some alkaline minerals to shift the water pH. I'm just going to take one drop here, just one drop. That's it. One drop of potassium and sodium in the form of a hydroxide and a carbonate, and we're going to see a difference. The difference now, instead of a 5.5 pH, we've gone up to, it's still climbing, a 10.25. So from 5 to 6, that's 10 times. 6 to 7, that's 100 times. From 7 to 8, that's 1,000 times. From 8 to 9, that's 10,000 times. And from 9 to 10, did I do that one? That's 100,000 times. 10.65. And from 100,000 times to 11, right? That's 1,000,000. Half of that, well, it's going up to 11. One drop, 10.74, with a charge of negative 232 millivolts. This water is now prepared to drink. It has been changed. It has been restructured. The pH has been changed from a 5.5 up to just about 11. The ORP, which stands for oxidative reduction potential. Anything that's oxidative is acid. Anything that's reduced is alkaline. We measure it in millivolts. It's negative 234 millivolts. We're talking about something that has been altered by using natural mineral salts, and so powerful, it only took one drop. You see, these things can be measured. So we take our pure water and we significantly restructure it. This is now restructured water. It is great to drink. That's the kind of water that will put energy back into the body. That's the kind of water that will bring up the reserves of your alkaline buffers if you're in an alkaline buffer deficit. So the negative reading refers to a reduction of fermentation or acids, and a positive reading suggesting an increase of oxidation or fermentation or acid. Dr. Batman said this: "You are not sick, you are thirsty." The brain is 80 to 85% water. The kidneys are 83 to 88% water. The muscles are 73 to 78% water. The blood is 90 to 93% water, and the bones are 13 to 22% water. I find this very, very interesting because at birth, when we're born, we are super hydrated. In fact, we're 90% water. And we look at the breakdown upon a brand new baby, 90% water, 8% fat. That's why they're so soft and cuddly, and so pliable, because they're hydrated. And we're not talking about acid water. They smell sweet and they look sweet because they're totally alkaline. They're literally bathing their cells in a bath of alkalinity. It's when they start going on that acid food that things start changing, and they don't smell sweet anymore. But when you think about the proportions, 90% water, 8% fat, it kind of makes you wonder, how much of that baby is protein? 1% protein. The rest of it is mineral. You say, when you look at it this way, you're going, what happened from the most growth period of our time, of our existence, from birth to our first year, to where things literally change? We have now accepted as normal 70%. That's abnormal. 90% was normal. We digressed from the 90% to 70%, accept that as normal. At death, you're of course under 70. You're probably closer to 60 to 50%. Dehydration is the number one cause of death. Because when you're not hydrated, you don't have the fluids to push out these acids that are constantly being produced. You don't have the conductivity with the sodium ions for energy to flow. You've got to be in the flow. To be in the flow, you have to be super hydrating. So it's very, very important that we're hydrating our bodies, but at the same time, when we're hydrating, we're using the proper alkaline water. So I came up with this whole new then paradigm shift from the 4 food groups. Rather than them focusing on protein, carbohydrates, and fats, I shifted to the 4 foundational food groups to maintain alkalinity of the fluids of the body and to build blood, which then builds body cells. The 4 food groups have now changed to what I call the COWS plan. The COWS plan is an acronym that stands for chlorophyll, oil, water, and salt. Chlorophyll to build the blood, oils to build the membranes of that blood, water in an alkaline, electron-rich state, and then salt, which keeps it all together. Without the salt, it acts like the glue. It holds everything together. Salt is essential, particularly sodium is essential. It's why our blood is salted with sodium. It's why the ocean is salted with sodium. It's salted because it is the foundational element of which energy is transported. It is salt that keeps us alive, in combination with oxygen and water. So we put all that in as the foundation of our house of health to help manage this teeter-totter of life between the pH balance, the biochemistry of the internal fluids of the body. So what percentage of water were you at birth? I think I already gave you the answer. 70%, 90%, 80%, 75%, or 60%? The answer is 90%. And here's another question to think about. How many liters of water per day do you estimate your body loses through urination, perspiration, defecation, and respiration? 1 liter, 8 liters, or 3 liters? The minimum amount of water that you lose on a daily basis is between 3 to 4 liters a day. Can you see how easy it is to become dehydrated? It is very, very easy. I mean, 3 to 4 liters, how much is that? It's close to a gallon a day of water. But it's the right kind of water. If you're drinking the wrong kind of water, it's hard to hydrate with that. It feels just like, a lot of water on the stomach, and it kind of slushes back and forth. This doesn't happen when you're drinking alkaline water that's wetter. It permeates the tissues. It permeates the cells. So here are some of the negative effects of acidic dehydration. Mild chronic dehydration, you'll experience these symptomologies: a headache, low energy, low mental acuity, low back pain, digestive disorders, constipation, and of course, weight issues. Acute chronic dehydration, you'll start experiencing asthma, allergies, arthritis, diabetes, hypertension, and obesity. These are all symptoms of overacidity and dehydration. The effects of chronic dehydration is like running a car on too little or no oil. It will run, but it won't run well, and eventually it will break down. Every cell has a specific function it performs through metabolism. Water is the medium of that metabolism. 1% drop in cellular hydration equals a net 10% loss of metabolic efficiency. The cell's function is then impaired. When you're dehydrated, the body prioritizes the use of then water to the vital organs. The digestive disorder or acid reflux or gastroesophageal reflux disease is nothing other than an overacidic state due to the fact that the diet and lifestyle is over acid and the stomach is not producing enough sodium bicarbonate because it doesn't have the foundational materials. Salt has been taken out of the diet. You don't do that. You take out salt, the body needs that in order to produce alkaline buffers. What you need to take out of the diet is your acidic lifestyle and foods and drinks. When you put salt in the diet, you put the right kind of water, you add the right oils and lots of green foods. This, I believe, is the diet for the future, the diet for now, the diet that's critically important because of all of the environmental pollutions, the toxic air, the toxic water, and now it's getting into our food sources. We need to protect ourselves with the right kinds of alkaline foods and waters. So how dehydration and acidosis works together. Dehydration, the body uses that to help buffer acidity, and of course that acidity then is eliminated through urination, perspiration, as these acids build up. And of course, I've given you earlier the 7 stages of acidosis. Let me just review those very quickly. The first stage of acidosis is you start losing energy, enervation. The second stage is sensitivities and irritation. Third stage is mucus buildup. Fourth stage is inflammation. Fifth stage is induration. That's the hardening of the arteries, the hardening of the tissues, the connective tissues, the muscles. Cramping. This is induration. Sclerotic plaque, cholesterol crystallization. This is all induration. The sixth level is ulceration, where acids are actually breaking down tissues, causing internal bleeding. And the last one is degeneration, which is the total breakdown of the tissue or the cell in the tissues. This is the last final stage of acidosis. We can protect ourselves by drinking the right kind of water. I would suggest to you that 70 to 80% of the world's population is dehydrated. All of us are suffering some level of acidosis within our bodies, and we're experiencing that in a symptomology. I know that tap water is convenient, but it's not the best water that we should be drinking. Yes, it has a slightly alkaline pH because of some of the chemicals that are put in there, but it has not been properly filtrated and purified from heavy metals, from fluorides, from possibly lead, from chlorine, and also from pharmaceuticals that are now showing up in our waters. So the quality of our tap water is not necessarily, even if we drink it, is going to contribute to better health. As we look at tap water, we see it that typically it's in a 20 to 24 molecule cluster. This water is very heavy, it does not absorb into the tissues, and it kind of slushes back and forth in our stomach and intestines. Through a process of ionization, which is an electrical process, using voltage or power to break these molecules apart, we break them apart in smaller molecular clusters, even down to the monomolecular state. Now, how would we know this? Well, using special meters, as we see an increase in the oxidative reduction potential up over negative 450 millivolts, we now know that we're in a monomolecular state. The microclustering effect and the negative charge is what makes alkalized ionized water different. In fact, up to 6 times more hydrating than other waters that you're going to get from a bottle or from a tap. Here's a more scientific look at molecular clustering, where you actually see the molecules of water stuck together in a cluster, and of course through a process of electricity breaking that cluster out, and then through a plate system attracting the particles or the minerals, the ions, from one side to the other, the positive minerals to one side, the negative charged minerals to another side. So we see things like sodium and chloride and potassium and bicarbonates and calcium, magnesium being taken to one side, which is the alkaline side. And we see some of the other elements being taken off to the other side. So when we have acid minerals within the water, they're separated through a plate system as the water flows over it, through polarity of those particular elements. They're attracted, the positive are attracted to the negative side, and the positive ions are collected and attracted to the positive side. And of course, you get then 2 flows of water. As the water flows over this plate, you get an acid water and you get a alkaline water. So you have 2 different sources of water, and both are valuable. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, how you can use not only the alkaline water for hydration of our bodies, but how we can use the acid water for many purposes as well.